Hey everybody, welcome back to the video series where I'm taking my little hobby side hustle business and trying to grow it into a real thing that can support me and my family. A couple weeks ago, I just launched my first major real product on Kickstarter, and it was for these titanium flexure carabiners. That Kickstarter has gone super well, and now I need to start making these carabiners. The campaign ends in just a few days here, probably already over in your time. And now I need to figure out how to make all of these because I'm going to make 1,000 of these carabiners. Over the past couple weeks, I have been testing my production process in little fixtures like this. This is just a small mock-up of the big fixture that I will be using when I go into production mode. In order to do production efficiently, I'm gonna take that fixture design that I've already been testing and cut it onto these big aluminum pallets. I'm going to make 2 of these so that I can load one of them while the other one is in the mill. In today's video, I'm gonna do some final tweaks to my fixturing, and then I'm going to machine those full-sized pallets. I just got a new set of laser cut blanks in. This is a prototype batch. I just ordered 10 because I had to make a very minor design modification to my blanks. For this Kickstarter, I've been buying all of my material from Send Cut Send in the form of these blanks. It's actually way cheaper to do that than it is for me to buy plate stock and mill them out. And it saves me a whole lot of machining time. I also ordered this button plate. This is actually to host the button to open our garage door inside our garage. Send Cut Send has introduced these new prototyping materials. This one is hardboard, I believe, and it is stupidly cheap. So if you're prototyping something quick and fun like this, or if you're doing production work, Send Cut Send is a great place. They have been supporting me throughout this process with free laser cut parts. If you have a laser cut project, you can use my code DESIGNEVERYTHING15 at checkout, and that'll save you 15% off at Send Cut Send. I'm gonna start designing my revised fixture, but before I do that, I'm gonna get these blanks in the tumbler. All laser cut parts always have a little bit of a burr on them, and I found that just an hour or 2 in the tumbler will knock that off, which makes them much easier to load and unload out of my fixture. Our last little test here is done. Let's see if the new carabiners fit. And they do. All laser cut parts have a little pip on them from where the laser leads in and out. And in order for these to fit into my fixture right, I'm gonna grind those off now. I use a UV resin to hold these carabiners in place. If you're interested, I have a whole video on the process. It's worked really well for me and does a great job holding the carabiners. Then I cure it with the UV light. It only takes about a minute to cure. With that resin all cured up, we can hit go. All right, that seems to have worked. So the fixture works, but my design tweaks on the blank, not quite there, unfortunately. This is an old carabiner, and if you look at it, there's a little bit of like an underbite on the lockup. The arm of the carabiner is just a little bit too short. If you look at this new one, it's too long. It's really close, but it's just a tad too long. But this is why I only ordered 10 prototypes. I'm gonna have to order another batch of prototypes, which is unfortunate because I really wanted to get into production. This really is so close to working. Even just a little bit of a push will make it close, so it kind of has a click to it. I think what happened is I removed all of the clearance, whereas I do still need some clearance for it to work. So I just need to remove a teeny tiny bit of material and get these reordered, and hopefully the next batch works. I'm gonna go on a slight tangent here. I have a laser cutter now. Doesn't do metal, but what happens if I laser cut one of these carabiners out of wood? Yes, I can laser cut one out of wood. It is a new day, and I had a realization. I realized that the carabiners are only getting shorter from here. They're not going to be getting longer because we found the limit of how long we can make the arm. And I did a quick test with my old shorter carabiners and the new fixture I made. And it turns out it works perfectly fine for any carabiner that is shorter than that previous iteration. So while the new set of blanks haven't been delivered yet, I can go ahead and make my fixtures. I don't have to wait on those. Yesterday I did an initial design of my big pallet, and I was able to get 14 parts on it, but I think if I rearrange this, I might be able to get at least 15 or 16, so I'm gonna do that now. Several hours of cooking later, we have a finished fixture and cam tool paths to go along with it. So at this point, we just need to make it. I have my Saunders Machine Works pallet in the machine. One of the really nice things about these pallets is I can easily just pull it off and then swap in one of my mod vices if I ever need to make a part with a more traditional setup. But we should be good to go. We have a slight mystery here. I have broken the same tool twice. It's an 1/8 inch end mill, and it does the majority of the material removal on these pockets. The first time it broke, I wrote it off as a fluke. I figured it was just an old worn out tool and it met the end of its life. These things happen. So I replaced that tool and ran the exact same tool path again. And sure enough, a couple minutes later, same tool gone. That implies to me that I have made a mistake somewhere and I don't know where. So I guess I'm finding that now. All right, I was able to find it. That actually wasn't that bad. Basically what was happening is there is a roughing pass and then a finishing pass with that tool. And since that pallet already has some holes in it from Saunders Machine Works that are modeled in my computer, I tried to constrain the roughing tool pass based on the height that it should machine at. And I didn't want it to remachine those holes, so I limited how far it can machine down. The problem is my pockets actually have 3 little sections that are deeper than the rest of the pocket just to make it easier to get the carabiner out. I can stick a pry bar underneath there and pop them out. My roughing pass was ignoring those little pockets. So when the finishing tool path tried to come in and finish those pockets, it broke the tool. New code is generating. I'll get a new tool in the tool holder and we can try this again. All right, I have that program running. All right, I have that running again with all the mistakes corrected. Hopefully we don't break a third $15 end mill, but I have faith this time, it'll work. So I broke yet another tool. It turns out this time it was just a stupid mistake on my end where I did not post the revised code that we worked on last time. So I have a 4th tool in my spindle ready to go again. And this time it's my last tool of that size. I only had 4. And this time I've walked back my feeds and speeds so they're extra conservative. I've turned on flood coolant instead of mist coolant. And so this has every chance of succeeding. I really hope this one works. I think we actually finished this time. I'm really glad that finally worked. I guess it's time to make another one. The second pallet just finished up, and like the first one, it looks beautiful. I did go ahead and load up the first one as a test just to make sure everything was working, And the only really weird thing that happened is on this pocket right here, the resin drained from where it's supposed to be holding the part in into this locating hole. That could cause an issue in the future if the resin builds up underneath that. I'm not actually using that board for locating. It's just there on the pallet design from Saunders Machine Works. So I don't think it'll be a huge issue. If it is, I will fill it in, maybe with UV resin, maybe with just hot glue. Using UV resin is probably a bad idea because I think new UV resin will stick to the old UV resin, but I don't think it'll stick to hot glue. So maybe I just fill that hole with hot glue to keep it clean. I don't actually have this pallet programmed yet to cut all of the parts, but at some point here this week, I will do that and we'll start test running this. I only have enough carabiners on hand for probably 2 runs, but that should be a pretty good illustration if it works or not. If you want to buy something that I make, you can find it on designtheeverything.com. Carabiners aren't available yet, but they'll be there when I'm done fulfilling all of the Kickstarter orders. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.